Hello and welcome to episode 44 of the Grove podcast. My name is Mos. I am your host. Today I'm joined by Tabs. Hello.
Hello. Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. I'm rushing this intro because I'm so excited for this podcast. It's a season so far and Q&A, and we've had some crackers, some cracking questions, really have. Um, we'll get to that in a little bit. But first, Tabs, just want to know, how's your international break going? What have you been up to? How many times have you looked on FOTMob to see when Arsenal are playing this weekend to realise we're fucking not?
No, it is frustrating. As I think I said at the end of the last pod, I actually need a bit of a break from football. From football, so I'm actually not too bothered. I think this has come a nice time. I think for the team and for me personally, as you know, as people may know, that I'm training for Chicago Marathon, which is actually taking place this weekend. So I'm flying off tomorrow morning. So the good thing is that I don't get to miss a game. I don't have to continue my crappy record of watching Arsenal from the States where we haven't won a game yet. So I think I think so. I'm quite pleased about that. So actually, in terms of you know, we've been doing these pods like thick and fast, like 2 a week, 3 a week, but like the players, we're putting the hard yards in. So I think it's good that we can have a break, but we aren't going to do a pod on on international football. Hell no. So I'm good and relieved, and I think I'll be ready and raring to go for Bournemouth next week.
Good. Yeah, let's not even talk about international football. I know there's an England game on tonight. I wouldn't even be able to tell you who they're playing. So, my international break's been a bit boring, to be honest. I've got so much to look forward to at the end of this month and the start of November with so many away trips, and so Preston, Newcastle, and Inter Milan, and then obviously we've got Liverpool as well. So 4 games, 3 away, 1 home. It's a bit of a when you're excited for something and it's just time's going by so slow. But just want to give a shout out to a few people, to you and Alan for helping sort out tickets to a couple of away games, and also to Jermaine who sorted out a ticket for Newcastle. So just want to give you guys a shout out because the power of the Grove, and let's not forget, 44 episodes ago we started this podcast because it's by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans, and I would safely say the Grove are almost like a family now. We all know about each other's lives personally, and when we're down at the football, and it just shows you the power of having such a group of friends. And I honestly love this club because of that reason. You can just have a conversation with anyone. I was speaking to some Welsh guys who I mistook for Irish. I really do apologise if they listen to the podcast. I'm sorry to Ian as well, because if he's listening to this, he'll be mortified. But we're just speaking to them outside the Horatio because they were not open and it's 12:05, and we were all worrying. And you just make friends with anyone, and I love that. I love that. And what else I love is the fact that we are there or thereabouts at the top of the league. We've played 7 games and we're only 1 point from Liverpool, who have a really tough run of fixtures that I think we've mentioned already on the pod. They have a very tough November coming up. What are your thoughts so far on our performances? And let's just cast our minds back to the 17th of August when we played against Wolves. What are your thoughts, let's say, for the first 7 games of the season?
Uh, if I'm going back to the beginning and what I thought, I was a bit apprehensive. I knew we were a very good team, and last year brought a lot of expectations, a lot of joy, a lot of hope, and so on. So I was really looking forward to it. We've got a lot of positives going for us. There's things that we needed to fix and needed to get right, but we also knew that every game would be really important because we know chasing team like City, there's very little room, very little margin for error. So I was a bit apprehensive, and with our first 5 games, and you've got Villa away, Tottenham away, City away. I actually wrote in our Grove program, it wouldn't have been too far of a stretch of the imagination that we'd come away with 66 points from 15. If we'd have lost those 3 away games, all in isolation, you could easily lose those. And we lost to Villa last year, drew to, and Spurs can be Spurs and City can be City. So I was a bit apprehensive. It wasn't like I was not confident in the team doing well, but it could have been quite a really bad start to the season. But the way we managed all the adversity, the injuries, the sendings off. You know, and
Martin Odegaard's injury.
yeah. The injuries, the sendings off, key players, not being fit before the season, during the season. The way we've come through that, those 5 games, the way we've found ways to solve problems, it's fantastic. And I'm actually quite happy. I think we've done fantastically well. I don't think we could expect much more. The one gnarly one is the Brighton game, because that, the other games where City really drew, that's fine, but the Brighton one is the one that sort of rankles. But to be, as you say, how many we're on? 7. Where are we now? So we're on 17 points. I think it's great. We've scored, and if you include Champions League and whatever, and the Carabao Cup, we scored 22 goals. We've only conceded 7 wins, 3 draws. We're flying under the radar, I think. I think, and that's where we want to be. We don't want to be up there at the top with all the eyes on us, with all the attention. Just let's keep doing what we're doing, keep winning games, accumulating points. It's just accumulation. I don't think it matters too much about the style. We're going to have to rotate players. We're going to have to find a way to bed everyone in, give everyone a chance. So I'm really pleased. I'm really happy considering where we could have been and what could have happened. I couldn't be much happier, other than had we won every single game. But football doesn't work that way always.
No, and I think the way I feel about it is when I remember watching the Wolves game when I was in Madrid with Danny, and it seemed like we just hadn't, hit the ground running. We were quite lethargic, and it kind of continued through. But there has been glimpses of, us playing better in some games and not in others. But what I would say is, I think I've said this before actually on the podcast, or maybe just to you. It feels like Arteta's not going gung ho at the start of the season, just because we can't risk too many injuries, players getting tired at the end of the season. We're not really reaching the same levels yet. But I think it's not on. I don't think it's. I do think it's on purpose. I think Arteta's just set up the team. And the thing I love as well this season, I don't know if you've noticed this as well. I'm sure you have, because you're ever the tactician, and I'm sure you're gutted that Football Manager's been delayed for another few months. I could just see you tinkering on that. But what I would say is, every single game we play, we've set up differently. We've not just set up as the Arsenal team. We're going into games setting up differently. Like Villa away, we set up differently to what we did against Wolves the week before. We're being set up in games to get that particular result, and that's what I really, really like. And I think Arteta's maybe taken a leaf out of Pep's book in that, because that's what Pep does very, very well. So it is overall really happy. And in terms of individual performances for players, the only standout for me really has to be Kai Havertz. He has just been, and you think about pre-season when he first joined in the MLS Skills Challenge, which we can't put too much into, but that's a player we signed from Chelsea. That was a Chelsea player who was devoid of confidence, devoid of happiness, and he wasn't home. And since then, he has just been unbelievable for us. I think his goal involvements, the off the ball work that he does, the passion that he brings, the 90-minute plus tracking back and making tackles and getting the crowd on side, everything. When you think about a player, it's not just the goals and the assists that make a great player, a world class player. I'm not saying Kai Havertz is world class by any stretch of imagination, but that's what it entails. And he is becoming a fan favourite. He is becoming a manager's favourite. It seems like Arteta's basically naming him first on the team sheet, and then any other players around, if they're playing on the wing or up top, they then fit in. Kai Havertz, especially since Martin Odegaard's been injured, has been unbelievable for Arsenal. Really, really has. I've been really impressed. And then another special mention for me personally has to go to Gabriel Martinelli, because this time last month we were all worried and talking about what's happening with his future, and he seems to be proving the Grove podcast wrong, I must say.
Well, some people wrong. I was always behind Martinelli. I could see what he was doing, and he was doing more than just running around. His efforts against City and against Tottenham really impacted, and fair enough. And I think I'd be more worried if he wasn't getting into chances. I'd rather you they say, it's more worrying that if you don't create chances than if you miss them, because at least then you can work on the finishing. Something will click, something happen. If you're not creating chances, then that's a bigger problem. So I think I always thought, that was coming. And we, in terms of, we had a question from Catherine D at Groovy Cathers 2 from Threads, and it was a very simple question: Gabby Martinelli, yes or no? And for me, it's a big yes. He was going through a period of struggling, but a lot of the stats made it sound worse when he said, "Oh, he hasn't scored since March." Well, it was 17 games, and much of that time he was injured, and much of that time he was making very limited substitution appearances. So actually, if you scratched beneath the surface and you compared year on year and stuff like that, it wasn't it. It was one of those ones where the eyes were maybe deceiving you or telling you something different. Whereas if you look at a bit more context, he was fine, and it was just a matter of time. And so now in the last 2 games, it's 2 goals and 2 assists. So and you're always going to get 100% from him. He's always going to try. He's there, and he's coming up now with important goals in the last couple of games. So I it would have been interesting to see how far we would have been tolerated and how it had gone. But I thought it was always there, and he's a fantastic player. He offers us something different that we don't really have. There's that just pace, and yeah, he's working well. And it's interesting now that Calafiori's in the team at left back. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe we've got a more settled left hand side. Maybe last year when it was a bit of Zinchenko, bit of this, bit of that, and so on, didn't really know what you were getting. Maybe that impacted him, and we were very right side biased. Now, because Odegaard's out, we're less right side biased, and we're going to the left more, and he's getting more opportunities. He's changing something himself. He's making more runs across the top of the box and into that area to like he scored his goal
Leicester.
against Leicester. So yeah, I'm pleased. I'm really pleased for him to get back, and you can see Sonny's confidence lifting, and he's a bit more. When he came on against the last game, my memory, 51-year-old memory.
What's going on
Uh,
with Southampton? What's going on
Against
with your
Southampton,
memory today?
again, he came to Southampton. Like the energy that he brought to the team when he came on, and he's incredible. So yeah, I'm really pleased for him. So for me, it's a very big yes, and I'm assuming yourself too. And I just want to touch on a point that you meant earlier about where in terms of the effort we're putting into games. I think you can't be 100%. You have to manage games. Now, we would like to have beaten Leicester early, beaten Southampton, get people off minutes on minutes. It doesn't always work like that. But I do feel like we're trying to win sometimes at 60, 70, 80%, and we're trying to manage those games. A bit like the Southampton game. This team is not our best team, but it should be good enough to beat Southampton. And so the idea is that, fine, we're giving these players minutes, but we're also resting other players, because this is a long season, lots of games, and you want to be at that 100% when it's winning season, March, April, May, when it really counts, when you really need it, when we're going to be very nominal changes, minimal changes, and there's going to be big games. So I think yes, you have to manage games, manage what you're doing, because otherwise you're going to burn out. And it's a bit the same with the fans. Everyone's getting so tense for every game because we know how important it is. We're going to be knackered by Christmas, and we've got the whole rest of the season to come. So I think the fans and the players, it's a case of pacing yourself.
Another player I want to mention as well, just before we move on, is Thomas Partey. He's been pretty impressive, to be honest, in the first, especially the first part of games. And what's interesting is Sharif from Arsenal Glasgow had messaged, asked for questions, and he kind of had a statement saying he was still feeling smug that Partey has came back to life and playing brilliantly. Now, there's talk of a new contract potentially, and all this stuff. We don't really want to get into the nitty gritty with Thomas Partey, but I think Arteta must trust him. Arteta likes him. He played it right back against Southampton as well, which was interesting. I think that's just due to injuries and
Yeah,
what we had to kind of do. But what I like about Thomas Partey and what he's given us is when Odegaard's not been around, he has been there. For it. He's not anywhere near Odegaard's level, but he's still playing pretty well, pretty well. You know, he's got a goal this season. He just seems to be kind of all over that. He's almost playing that box to box role where he's playing that kind of that position, and I can't really think of the word to describe it. It's good. It. I guess it's just what we need at this moment in
Yeah.
time. I think once Odegaard's back, though, Thomas Partey will be dropped.
Well, we'll come to that. There's a question on that later on. But in terms of Partey, I think is the most amount of games he's played in a row for Arsenal, and it's because of his fitness. And you saw last year, as soon as he was fit, Jorginho out, Partey played all the games. So and now he's played 9 out of the 10 games. I think the only game he didn't play was Bolton at home. I think 737 minutes he's played. Um, this is his longest sustained period without sort of injury, without having to come out. I think he offers us something. I'm pleased that we've got him because I said with the injury crisis that we had is whether we'd renew him, whether I'd want to renew him, I would rather have someone else and rely on someone else. I think his time is here. He's one of these ones. Great that we've got him. Great option. But I don't want to continue to rely on because I think we've got a bit of a purple patch with him. He's aged 31 and a third, so this time next year 32. So by the summer 32, yeah, I feel like yes, use him while we can, but I wouldn't want to rely on him more than this year. So those talks of contract is. Yeah, it's a bit unless we use him in the Jorginho role like him now, but I can't see that Jorginho's when he's I love him on the touchline, the way he's like coaching the team, helping the team, backing them. He's basically like a coach now. So that's great. In terms of shout out for players, I've got 3 that I need to mention. Saka, it's incredible. He like us. I know we've been in the news and all the rest of it, but all for the wrong reasons. But in terms of accumulating points and where we are scoring, I know he's incredible. He's incredible. His stats are just absolutely nuts. Was it 7 goals and 3 assists? Across all competitions. He's played in every game. He's played 10. He's played in
7 assists and
7
3
assists and 3
goals.
goals. Yeah. That's and his ability to create chances and big chances. The way what he did back to back with Leicester and Southampton hasn't been done before. He's played almost 800 minutes. He's like now the fifth in that. So we keep playing him. He's just so good. But he does it, and what I love is he just does it calmly, does it efficiently. He's not a showboater. So you got these things like Ali McCoy saying he would never get in the City team, or he's not world class. Now these are people just trying to generate.
Tabs, sorry, can I interrupt you?
Uh,
Listening to Ali McCoy at the best of times is
no,
like don't even mention him on this. Don't ever mention him on this pod. Just say your next point. Don't even think about rising to that.
the fact is, and Cole Palmer getting England player of the year, considering he only played whatever. To me, I don't care. These are all just opinions. I say like arseholes. Everyone's got one. It's the fact he just gets on with it, and even now he just gets kicked, gets on with it. He's strong. We are so lucky to have him. I think, and the fact he's a Hale End boy. I don't know. It's just had we paid 150 million for him, we'd be eulogizing him forever, ever. And now it's just this is our boy. This is what he does. We love it, and I'm happy that fine if people want to glorify other people, don't do it. This guy is it. He's like one of the best wingers in the world. His numbers stack up, and he's going to take us to the promised land, hopefully.
Who's just very quickly? Who's your other 2?
Timber and Calafiori. I think Timber's, and again we got a question about that later, so maybe I'll touch on that later. And just Calafiori, 22 years old, youngest player in the team. The way he's just come in, left back. That's my position now. Everyone out of the way. You're not going to miss me, looks wise, football wise. I've really enjoyed having him part, and again he's becoming a big crowd favourite. As I keep saying, rough around the edges. We've got to smooth that out. But other than that, love it.
Bit like this podcast, eh?
Yeah.
Just a few kind of side notes, I guess. we've not seen the best, or we've not even seen Marino much.
No.
So there's more to come from him.
Yeah.
Sterling, Gabby Jesus potentially could have a big part to play. Martin Odegaard's still not back from injury, and he's running again. Oh my God, he's running, Tabs. He's running again.
Was it barefoot?
No, he had socks on and shoes on. I think his shoes were the right size this time. He's running, and it was on the Alt G thing, so it's I don't know if you'll probably know what that is
It's
as a runner.
assisted, isn't it? It's sort
Yeah,
of like weight assisted. Yeah,
less gravity, like, less gravity or something like that. But
yeah.
he's running, and that can't be far until we see him again. Is
Mm-hmm.
it too soon to hope that he makes an appearance on the hallowed turf against Liverpool at the end of this month? Probably,
I think
but
that's what they're aiming for. I think that could
yeah,
be it.
don't
But
be surprised if you see
but
him. We're
I
not in the
wouldn't risk
know.
it though. But we've done so well without him. You
Oh
know,
no, no! I disagree with you on that massively, Tabs. Hear
I
me out
wouldn't
on this.
risk him.
Hear me out on this. You need to have your best possible players, whether you risk them or not. You need to have your best
Okay.
possible players against Liverpool. They're going to be the team that we need to beat. If there's any
Yeah.
game we have to win, Liverpool at home is that
Mm,
game. It feels like the Man City game last season when
mm.
Martinelli smashed it against Muthoni Aki's face. I love that moment. Tommy Ash is still to come. Well, he's back
Yeah.
obviously, but
Yeah.
he's still got a big part to play as
Mm.
well. So I just think if you had to give a summary, I'm not going to give a score. I'm not going to give a rating. I know that's a contentious thing on the podcast, but we need to just, as you've written here, keep doing the same thing. But let's not forget, we were missing Rice uh, for the Spurs game, and we've been missing Odegaard for a lot of the season. They're two of our key players, and I mentioned Kai Havertz being one of the first on the team sheet. But if you had to name five, you'd be talking about Kai Havertz, Saliba, Saka, Rice, Odegaard. That's like your core almost. Other players do obviously exist as well.
Raya as well. How can we forget Raya? He again, and this is what's happened. I think we've had pockets of players doing brilliantly in games, and so we're using it. So Raya against Villa, the saves he made against Villa, and then
Penalty save against Atalanta.
Atalanta. So right, he had his moment. Big G, cracking head against Spurs, cracking head against City. He had his moment. Saka, the last couple of games, or actually all throughout, he's been consistent. Kai, he's scoring. Well, he scored every home game. 7 and 7. It's like, so it is great that we're using a squad. We're not just reliant on one individual every time. The whole team is contributing, and even the other people around them, they're contributing in their own way. Be it taking minutes off others, getting up to speed. Trossard clutch against Villa. So isn't it? You're right. Keep doing what we're doing. Use the squad, and we need to pace ourselves.
Pace ourselves indeed, and we've paced ourselves really nicely to move on to part 2 of the podcast, where we talk about the Q&A, my favourite part. The first question comes from Dave, Gunnar Dave 66 on Threads. In fact, speaking of Gunnar Dave 66, a lot of people will have seen him around on Twitter, on Threads. He's very, very well respected in the Arsenal community and a really nice guy. He will actually be on this podcast this time next week, Tabs, talking about something very special. He has a new book, Welcome to the Gunnarverse, an Arsenal anthology. It's a book of 70 poems from different Arsenal fans, some who are very well known. If you're interested in that, and we're going to ask Dave all about the book and all things Arsenal, we'll even give him a chance to talk about his season so far, kind of what his thoughts are. That episode will be released this time next week in all social media platforms and all listening platforms as well. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. Dave asks, when the first choice midfield is fit, I assume Rice at a 6, Marino as the left 8, and Odegaard as the right 8. Who will or should Arteta select on the left wing? Neither Leo or Gabby deserve to be dropped. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, and also just to add to that, because it's similar, we had Peter from Arsenal Edinburgh. He said, who should Marino replace and partner with, and when? So it's sort
Big
of,
shout out.
oh,
Sorry, I know I gave Dave a
yeah,
huge introduction,
yeah.
but big shout out to Peter as well. Genuinely, the nicest man you will ever meet, apart from you, Tad. Okay, fine. Apart from you, the nicest man you will ever meet. I remember, just digressing very quickly, but it's international break, so I'm allowed to. I remember meeting Peter at the Polworth Tavern. But I think, in fact, before or after that, we met at Edinburgh Waverley train station heading down to a game. And he was just the nicest, not just, I didn't know the guy, but he was just so kind and, oh, so nice. Do you know what? Everyone from Arsenal
Yeah,
Scotland who I've met have been unbelievable. There was also Christopher, who I met at Edinburgh Airport as well once. So look, they're also nice, but
there
Peter,
we go.
and only for his food recommendations alone, he is worth a message. So if you're listening to this and you have Peter's number, message him for some great food recommendations around Edinburgh. Anyway,
Well,
yeah,
back to
sorry,
yeah.
sorry.
Who should Marino replace and partner with? So it's sort of tied in together. So look, in terms of, I'll tackle that one in that. Yeah. So I think in buying Marino, I think the midfield three he's expecting. You're right. Rice at 6, Marino at left 8, Odegaard right 8. But yeah, that's the start games, and actually maybe horses for courses, maybe we switch things up. But I think if you're saying game of your life, who do you go through? I think that's what you want. It may take a while to see that because Marino's only coming up to speed. He's just all he's done at the moment is come on, make some tackles, and then go home, which is great because that's what we want him to do, and that's fine. So I think it'll between now and the next international break is where we'll see that, and Odegaard coming back. I think that's where we'll see that the trio coming along. In terms of left wing, again, I think it may be game dependent. If I had to choose at the moment, I would go Leo. No, sorry, not Leo. Sorry, I was reading that first. Gabby. I don't think Leo is optimal at on the wing. I don't think he is a winger. I think what he is he actually throughout games he actually doesn't do a huge amount. I think PSG was one of his best games off the ball. Doesn't he? But he's more of that. Deep lying centre forward, or he's more of a centre forward. I don't see him as a winger, and I think having Gabby as an option with his pace and his power, also his defensive work with Saka on the other side, I think those two dovetail a lot nicer, and I think those two complement each other a lot better. And we see like what happened last week. Saka with his cross, Martinelli scores. Granted, did exactly the same against Chelsea last year, and Trossard scored. So it's there. But I think that's more of a horses for courses thing. But I would say Leo is more of that winger, and I would say, and it's not about dropping either. It's more about who's going to likely get you the best result as early as possible or get result in the game, or who's going to be maybe what we need to be effective later in the game. But I would say, so Dave Seeger, I would say Gabby would be my, if I had to start a left 8 game of your life, Champions League final, it's Martinelli, and what an option to have Leo as a sub to bring on for that like late goal to win us the big jug-eared trophy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Gabby's just, more of that kind of the right fit for
Mm.
that particular role. Do you want to read out the next one, Tabs?
Yeah, so we've got Kieran Patton from Threads at Patton Kieran. How concerned are you by the ever increasing noise linking Saliba with Real Madrid? And sort of linked to that, my mate Andy Ioannidis, he's the one I'm actually going to Chicago with this weekend. He's a Sunderland fan, and then he's messaged us on the pod before and all
Yeah,
that. So, and he's a listener. Said if you had to sell Saka or Saliba, who would it be? So if we come back to the beginning, Mos, then what are you making about the noise around Saliba, and then who would you sell if you had to, Saka or Saliba?
I'm not concerned because there's always noise with big name players linking them with big clubs. But we are becoming the big club. So why would Saliba want to leave to go to potentially Real Madrid? Okay, that's a stupid question. You know, why wouldn't you want to go and play for Real Madrid? However, we're becoming the club that Real Madrid once used to be. We're in and amongst it. We're in the thick of things. These players are still young. There's so many chances for these guys to win trophies at Arsenal, and I think that some players they have like a willingness to do it for the club that they play for, and they don't want to just have it the easy way out and go to Real Madrid and win La Liga every year or make it a two-horse race. I genuinely think if I was a player, I would want to stay at a club where there's more competition. It's more enjoyable because you're doing it with a club that hasn't won anything. They've never won the Champions League and they've not won the league for 20 odd years or whatever. So it just seems more meaningful, I guess, if you do it that way. So in terms of if I'm concerned, I'm not. I think it came from Rudiger, who just mentioned that he would love to play with Saliba and he wants to bring him to Madrid. Now, Antonio Rudiger, the Chelsea reject, is not going to be in charge of any transfers. And look, if we had to sell one, Saka or Saliba, it's a tough one, but I think it would have to be Bukayo Saka. And the reason why I say that, and look, I'm not, before everyone jumps on the bandwagon, oh my God, he's going to sell Saka. I just think Saliba is so. Saka's a game changer. He can change the game. But I think there's other players similar to Saka around the world. And I'm not saying we would obviously sign, but there are other players like Saka around the world. But Saliba, when you watch him play every single match, it's like a 10 out of 10. Every duel he's winning, every single header he's winning, every defensive action he is there. Now, don't get me wrong, I did think about this question because after Cameron Archer done him for the Southampton goal, I thought, but it's a very tricky question. I think it'd be like 51%, Saka, 49% Saliba, even 50.5, and that kind of thing. It's so close. My honest answer is neither, but
Yeah, of course.
that, that's by the by. Both contracts end in a couple of years as well, by the way. So it'd be
Well,
interesting to see.
yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, they're both 23, so you're right. They're both young, but they've now got, I think, a 7-year period to maximize things. Maybe, and at the moment, yeah, the contracts both end in 2026. Um, I'm not concerned. It could do without the noise because he gets asked, "What do you think about this?" Blah blah blah. It's not concerned as in where he'll think about it. It's just noise that you just can't be asked dealing with. And we all know that that's potentially the trajectory he's on. And isn't it? What I like is, isn't it great that we've got players that a team like a team like Real Madrid would want? We've got these caliber of players. This is what we are now making. So fine, if it's going to happen, it happens. Let's then maximize what we have out of him now. Let's maximize what we get from Real Madrid if they do take him. I do think though we've got a number of these players, top players, world class players. That we do need to win something. We do need to win something big, a Premier League, a Champions League, just to meet their ambitions. These guys are young, ambitious, want to maximize what they can. They've only got a short. Football is a short career, and you've got to maximize your chance. So, loyalty is one thing. And yes, he said they can buy me on FIFA. I want to be an Arsenal
That's
legend.
a fake. I
Is it a
despise.
fake quote?
I despise when Arsenal fans retweet that. That's a quote that's been around for
Oh, okay.
centuries on Twitter for various players. I
Oh, okay.
promise you, if William Saliba said that, that would
Well,
be.
well, maybe he saw it and repeated it. Anyway, okay, but let's ignore that. But the thing is, yes, I think they. Are you still there? I lost the video.
I am there, yes.
Okay, so yeah, look, they do want to win with us. They want to see the project through. They're invested, and the way he celebrates, you'd think, oh, he'd never leave the club. The way he's a brick. I love his celebrations. He's always like jumping to the crowd, slapping his chest, slapping the badge. So I think he genuinely does want to win with us. But at some point, if it doesn't happen, he's got to think personally. He said, yeah, I need to go somewhere else because I'm not realizing my ambitions here. So I think it's incumbent on the club to do that. If I was going to sell one of Saliba and Saka, I keep flip flopping on this, and I've landed on I would sell Saliba and keep Saka at the moment. That but it's cut off your hand versus cut off your foot, type scenario. So yeah.
You can still play football if you have 2 feet, but you can't if you have one. So, um,
Tell that
the
to the Paralympians. But
yeah,
yeah, anyway.
the Retro Gunner on Threads at the Retro Gunner says, given that there's a lot more to come from this team as the season goes on, which players do you think we really need to see more from? And if you don't mind, can I go first on this one?
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
know, I know that you will have a different answer to me potentially. I would love to see more from the fringe players who are there or thereabouts to breaking into the team when they get their chance on the pitch. And I know it's not easy. Like for example, Ethan Nwaneri, when he came on, he did very very well against was it Leicester, wasn't it,
It's Leicester, yeah.
when he came on? So it's players like that that I think potentially I would love to see. Not I don't want to see more from Nwaneri because obviously he's getting his chance, but I'd love to see some goal involvements or when you do get subbed on, I'd just love to see a little bit more than just playing, almost like a Reece Nelson moment against Bournemouth, but more consistently to a consistent level. And another name I just wanted to mention as well in terms of potentially like a player who would maybe be a starter in the team is Zinchenko. I think if Zinchenko gets a chance again, I'd love to just see more from him in terms of his outputs. I just don't see that happening now with Calafiori, Timber, White, maybe even Tomiyasu ahead of the pecking order over Zinchenko. And we very rarely speak from an injured player or a player who's never really played for a long time point of view. And it's not that I want to see more from him. I just want to see what his plans and ambition is. But Kieran Tierney, I know it's not, he's not going to play games, but I want him to be more proactive in either this is where my future is, or if not, I'm going back up to Celtic, or I'm going to Newcastle, or I'm going elsewhere. I want him to have more ambition. So maybe not what the retro Gunner meant about, he means about what players on the pitch, but Kieran Tierney always springs to mind as a player that we are paying wages for, and you know, he's becoming just he's just not he's essentially ostracized from the team.
Yeah, I mean it's a difficult one. His injuries haven't helped. I think we would have sold him in the summer had it not got injured for Scotland. I feel sorry for the guy. I'm sure he wants to be playing. It's a tough one. You're earning 100 plus k a week, or you go back to Scotland and you'll earn a third of that or whatever. So, but I think he wants to go and play. He would have done maybe the January windows where when he goes. It's just getting that fitness. No, he's not going to play for Arsenal again. That's clear. In order to so in terms of what we really need to see, who we need to really see more from. I'm gonna do a couple of obvious ones, then maybe a bit more controversial ones. So I think we will rely on Sterling and we will rely on Jesus this season, and so I really want to see them starting to contribute. Sterling. I think he is contributing in a way. I think he just needs to learn the ways of Arteta. There was a few times where he could be passing when he's a bit more selfish. When he got bundled over for the Southampton goal, his reaction was not an Arsenal player reaction. It was more complaining to ref instead of going, shit, I need to make up for this. And you see how Martinelli played versus Sterling. That's the benchmark. That's what you've got to do. So I'd like to see more from them, and I think they can. I think Jesus is a tricky one. I think there's a question later, but yeah, he needs to accept his position in the team and just start gradually getting back in, get some of that confidence back. So I'd like to see more from them. But the other one, Declan Rice, I'd like to see a bit more from. I still think he's been thereabouts. I think he's had a 6 out of 10 season so far, but I'd like to see a bit more. Maybe because again, like a lot of our players, and like you said at the beginning, we're not at top speed. We're not running. I think all the changes, the different formations, the injuries, him in and out of the team because of the red card, I think that's all impacted everyone. So you don't have those relationships haven't been built. So we've got new players. So it's sort of a bit tricky. So, is he a more deep line player? Is he more forward player? Is he progressive with the ball, or is he doing the long cross? He needs to figure out who he is. We need to figure out who he is, get him there, get him really good at that. At the moment, he's a bit of everything without being top at all of that. So he's an amazing player. He will learn. He will get there. And I think this is part of with Odegaard and Marino. We get Rice at the base of the midfield and really develop him there. I don't think he's let the more progressive, more attacking left 8 position that he's sometimes playing at the moment, or his double pivot. I think elements of it is good, but I think we need to see a bit more from him, end products and so on. Again, not saying he's bad and not saying he's played bad. Just want to see a bit more and expect a bit more. Top player getting paid top dollar. I would like to see a bit more from Declan Rice.
Moving on to then the next question, you can read this one out.
Yeah. So David Schreiner, D Shriner 863. Well,
We
there's
need to we
800.
need to watch that no one's playing a prank on us, and the usernames are like like
I
like
I
like
I tre-
Tottenham.
I checked. I'm just surprised that there are 862 D Shriners on Threads already. But there we go. uh, so well, touched on my. It was a bit on the point before. We can get into it. What has to happen to get Jesus out of his slump? Is he going to make a significant contribution to the team before the end of the season? What do you think?
The short answer is no. The long
No, what?
answer is
No, he's not going to make a significant contribution.
nah.
Okay.
I think his injury has really cost him not only mentally but physically as well. I think he's playing a little bit more cautiously now. I don't think he's the type of fit for this Arsenal team. I think he's a great player to have around the squad. He's a great player to put on in cup games. Let's not forget FA Cup will be starting soon as well. So there's four competitions that we're going to be in. More Champions League games as well, obviously, that run. Tabs, can I ask, how much liquid is that cup fit? Because you've been drinking that non-stop. And I'm just thinking, is that cup like one of those ones that just have a never-ending...
It's a magic bottomless one. No, there was actually nothing in that sip. I was really annoyed. So I drank fresh air, so that's fine.
Yeah. Gabriel, that's great marathon training, by the way. Gabriel Jesus, yeah, I just don't think he's that type of player for us anymore. We have so many other options, but like I was saying, four competitions, he's going to have a huge part to play in the as a fringe player in the cups, and potentially Champions League if we're I don't know, like Zagreb, good chance to maybe rest players, or if we're qualified in the top eight, or with one game to go and you can't go above one position, and but you can't drop a position because obviously we need to think about seeding in that case as well. Then the last game might be meaningless, and he might get a start there. But is he going to make a significant contribution to the team before the end of the season, David? To answer your question, it's a no from me. What do you think, Tabs?
Yeah, it's hard to define significant contribution because it's what he allows us to do as well. I feel a bit sorry for him. I don't know whether he needs an arm around the shoulder or I think it's in his head and he's lacking in confidence and he's trying really hard. So you can see the effort's there and he did really well when he came on against City and stuff. But it's really hard. Like if you give these players pockets of time, and I think he needs a lot more time to get out of his slump, I'd say, and he needs that one goal. But I don't think we're going to afford him that time. So he has to somehow figure out, right, this is the opportunity I'm going to have, and if I need to change it, this is what I need to do. And I'm not going to get a run of 10 games in a row. I'm not going to play back-to-back 90s. So he needs to sort of just be able to accept his role in the team. And once you accept that situation, and then just relax and stop trying and just say, look, just just chill. Just do what you do what you know what you're doing because it's amazing. Remember, we all remember that first season came in. Him and Zinchenko changed everything, and then all of a sudden the injury pre the World Cup, he forced the issue there. So there's some history there with him and World Cups from previous World Cups where he didn't score. He was the main striker. He got a lot of heat from the Brazilian fans and press for that. So I think he had he not had that situation, then he would have then he might not have gone to the World Cup because I think he went there injured, and then since then he hasn't looked back, but in the wrong way. So I still think he's got something to offer. I still think we can get something out of him. I think again there could be that one goal, that one chance. He loves the Champions League, so I'm not down on him yet. He's not a starter. He's going to be a finisher. And I think his moment might come. He might have his own Reece with Nelson moment, and we'll love it. So fingers crossed that he can contribute, even if it's just taking minutes off Saka, minutes of someone else, minutes of Havertz. That's our biggest issue, I think, at the moment. Who's going to take minutes off Havertz because he's played 10 games, he's practically played 900 minutes. Let's if we get a good Jesus, then that will help us along the way as well.
Okay, let's move on a little bit quicker. We're stretching for time. There's so many questions to get through.
Yeah.
So the next one comes from Cern, who's a avid member of the Grove and all round good guy. He asks two questions, so we'll just do one word answer for this. Right, you can go first. Ben White or Julian Timber?
Oh, you bastard!
No tabs explanations allowed. Tabs. Just need to give one. No reason. Nothing. Just choose one.
Don't hate me, Timber.
I would say Timber as well. I love Ben White's shithousery. I love the way Ben White plays. I love Ben White. He's a. If you think Calafiore is sexy, then Ben White is sexy as well.
Well. On that note, we had a question. Was it your friend Danny?
That was
If
Danny. Danny asked
Danny Kleiman, if Ben
Da-
White gets any more spray tan done, will he have to change his name?
Ben Orange.
Ben Orange. Okay. And CERN's second question.
Sorry, second Ben Orange has made me laugh so much. Um, that's just Danny for you. Will
Yeah.
Saka go on to have more assists than Bergkamp, who was on 94? Saka's currently on 42. That's a really interesting question, isn't it? What do you think?
Um, I, yes, I say so. Well, that's another 52. Well, okay, yeah. So if he's here for 4 more seasons, so that's an average. Well, that's going to be tricky, but yeah, yes, I'm going to be Team Saka. Yeah, especially because I've sold Saliba and I've kept Saka, so I've got to keep him. So yes, yeah. Why not? Why not?
If he's here for 5 seasons, that's what roughly 10 a season. So
Yeah,
it's possible, and
yeah,
that's obviously all competition. So it is possible. Let's
yeah.
not also forget Thierry Henry's season record. He had 20 assists in 2002-03, and Kevin De Bruyne matched it with 2019-20. And interestingly enough, there was a graphic on Twitter that I seen a couple of days ago that had a graph of the games and the assists for Ozil, Henry,
Mm.
KDB, and Saka. And Saka's tracking higher than anyone at this moment in time, but obviously it's only 7 games into the
So do you reckon he'll get both records?
I think he might beat Henri's one this season and lifts us a Premier League trophy in the last game. I don't know whether he'll get Bergkamp's one. That was, but you never know. He could have a season that he gets 25 assists, and we end up signing a proper goal, a number 9, or Kai Havertz end up scoring 30 goals in a season, and Saka's got 20, 25 assists. So you just never know. You can have one of those freak seasons that then skew the record and make it easier to then
Yeah,
achieve.
this could be it. Okay.
Yeah. Alistair had a question that also from the Grove.
Mm.
You can read
Go
it.
on. Okay, so yeah, Alistair, Grover Alistair. So I was thinking about our next home game versus Liverpool, and Calafiori at times seeming exposed to pace, like against Southampton, Tyler Dibbling. So an assumption, White is back. Does Timber become our more robust left back against teams with a strong right hand side attack like Salah and Liverpool?
Yeah, so essentially Alistair's asking there just, if Calafiori's been exposed to pace, is Timber going to be the left back of choice against stronger teams like,
Yeah.
Liverpool and there's not really many with fast wingers, but it's a good question actually from Alistair. He's always coming with the good questions, isn't he?
Yeah.
I would say the beauty of this Arsenal team is Arteta has the pleasure to change things around if he needs to. And let's not forget, you always say Calafiori is rough around the edges at the moment, so that's just maybe Premier League pace is so much different to playing for Bologna in Italy, and so potentially, with a few more games under his belt, and he starts to read the game more and knows when to go, when not to go, he might be the left back that Alistair's asking. That is Timber going to be? We just don't know. But early signs are looking quite promising, but I think if we're talking about in 2 weeks' time we're playing Liverpool, then I would like to see potentially Calafiori still have a chance against Salah and see how it goes. Why upset the apple cart and why rock the apple cart? You know, if it doesn't work, then everyone will say, oh, Calafiori should have played and vice versa. So it's a great question, but it's a tricky one. I don't really know. Maybe give Calafiori a full season first, and then we can assess from there, or even half a season.
Yeah, I would say no. Calafiori stays left back because again, I think we want to utilize his attacking prowess, the way he progresses the ball, and so on. I think Timber would start at right back. Why would you put Timber on his wrong foot? Yes, I see he's more robust. Fine. That's why you have Ben White to do the covering. That's why you maybe have Marino to do the covering because of what Calafiori offers you going forward. And then we also have Gabriel on that side as well. So I would suggest not. But if he came along and said right back, Timber left back, Calafiori is an option on the bench, this is like you say. I don't care if that's what Arteta thinks. It's not so. It's not like Zinchenko. Hey, let's put Zinchenko there against Salah. We're talking bloody good player or another bloody good player or another bloody good player. Even Tomiyasu there would be great. So for me, if fitness is right, if everyone's all on a level playing field, then I'll do Calafiori. But if not, if he's injured or whatever, then Timber comes in. Fantastic. So it's a wonderful problem to have. And I wouldn't really worry either way. But if I had to choose, then I would go Calafiori on one side, Timber on the other side.
Okay, thanks, Alistair, for that question. Senzi, another Grover, asks, what are both of your thoughts on squad depth this season compared to last season, and how far do we think we can progress in all competitions? So, what are your thoughts on the squad depth?
Yeah, like I just touched, I think we've got excellent squad depth. When fit, with all our players fit, we've got such variety, especially at the back.
And
I
we've
think
got the
maybe
youngsters. We always forget when we think about squad depth, we've got the youngsters as well. We've got Guarneri, we've got MLS,
yeah,
we've got Porter in goals if we really need to.
yeah, no, and especially one area MLS, they offer great options for the FA Cup, for the Carabao Cup. I think the only place, if we could have one more player, maybe you're thinking up front. Where's the backup for Havertz, especially when Jesus is in there? But if Jesus is firing, then we're happy. I think it's midfield. I think we could very quickly get into danger. But now Marino's fit. But I think midfield is potentially where he could do with one extra. But compared to last year, we're in a very good place, I think, from squad depth. How far can we go in all competitions? We can win all four. Whether we will, that's it. We have got a team and we've got a way of playing that can win us all four games, and we have a squad that could potentially also win us the cups and win us the domestic cups and win us the league. So I'm not saying we will, but I'm saying we've got a very good chance to do
We're
it.
not winning the quadruple, are we? Don't get it into my head.
What did Saka say? It's our time. Fuck it. It's our time. I've kept Saka. I've sold Saliba. I'm going with the guy who believes in this team. Let's go. We're going to win all four. You've heard it here first.
You've heard it here first. 7 games in, and Tabs' deludamoles are out in force.
I had us on 6 points after 5 games, and now we're winning the quadruple.
Oh, God. My thoughts are, Senzi, yes, squad depth is better. And how far you think we can progress? I'm more of a realistic guy. I think we can win the league. I think we can reach the semi-finals of the Champions League. I think we can win one of the FA or the Carabao Cup. And I think we will be knocked out in the other one early doors. I don't think the Carabao Cup is high on Arteta's agenda, but it's just nice to have squad players playing these kind of games. So that was it. Andy's asked another. I'm worried. Is Andy running the marathon as well?
Yes.
Is he training or is he just asking questions?
He's faster than me, I'm afraid. So he's a very good runner. He's a sub-3 runner. Won't be doing that in Chicago, but he's a sub-3 marathoner. So yeah, he can do this in his sleep. So he's asking, and this is a one word answer, or one. If you could have any one Spurs player, who would it be?
No one. Next.
I'd say Kulusevski. There we go.
Okay, if I'm being honest, I know he's absolutely shit at defending, but Mickey Van de Ven just I don't know, or shall I say Mickey can't defend? I don't know. There's just something about him that seems like an Arteta type ball cat. No, never mind. Move on.
That was terrible.
Sasha asked a very interesting question here. We could be here all night, Tabs, and I'll come to London right now and prove him wrong.
I haven't given you the answer yet.
Who would win a 1-versus-1, you or me? And you said, at what? Thinking, are you scrapping with me here? Are you?
You go, what are we doing? I get basketball, 1v1 boxing. I don't know. So it would be a duel. So me as a striker and you as a centre back.
Easy.
Based on all the BS I hear you talking about how very good you're at football. The reason why is that I was actually a centre forward, but I was more of an off the shoulder centre forward. I was just a real irritating pain in the neck centre forward. Ian Wright-esque, if you're going to go anywhere near there. Either that or as a deeper number 10. I was never a tricky
Tab,
dribbler.
stop trying to worm your way out of this. Are you
Take it.
beating me in a duel or not?
So if it was 1v1 and I was with the ball and getting past you, yeah, I would suggest that yes, Mos, you would win.
Get in. Yeah, I'm sorry, Tabs, but in my late 20s, early 30s, I have become an absolute powerhouse of a centre back.
I would kick the ball past you and I'd beat you in a foot race to get to the ball. There you go.
I think you would. I've lost a lot of pace in the last couple of years. I think breaking the fibula didn't help, and
Yeah.
a couple of kind of dodgy knee injuries. I'm just kind of trying to defend
I'll
myself.
let you have that. I haven't played football for 23 years, so definitely you'd beat me now,
But
1v1.
can I also just quickly name 5 other sports that I could beat you at? I just want to say 5 other sports.
Try.
I will beat you at tennis. I will beat you at
No, not
yes.
tennis. No,
I will beat you at squash. I will
no,
beat you at badminton.
no.
I would beat you at not athletics, not running. You're a very good runner. You're a very esteemed runner. I would beat you at basketball,
Well, yes, I'm shit at
and
basketball.
I would beat you at golf.
Yeah, I'll take racket sports. I would doubt it. I've actually got this competition with my son that we do. We play table tennis, squash, badminton, I think pickleball, and, did I say tennis? So only 5 racket sports. So we're doing 5 racket sport tournament, and I'm 2-1 up at the moment. Table tennis and badminton. We just need to sort out the other. He's better than me at tennis, only just. Uh, but that's because considering I only play once a year, and he's only just the first time we had that tipping point last year was the first time he beat me. So at the age of 16, he beat me. So now but then he plays more regularly. I play once a year. I'd be surprised at the racket sports, but I know we can set it up. We can set it up next time you're down.
I was
We
going to say, Tabs,
need to set it up.
let's
Get
do
get the
a
squash court booked. Get the badminton booked.
let's do a Grove Tabs versus Moz charity tennis match.
No, not tennis. I'll do badminton. There
No,
you
no,
go.
no, no, no. You said as soon as I said tennis, you were like, no, no, no. I will beat you. So no, no. We'll have a tennis match, Dad. I've not played tennis for about 2 or 3 years, but I
Okay.
will bagel you
Bagel.
3 sets in a row.
I
So
do like my bagels. I
Sasha,
do.
your question's answered, and
Yeah.
I think I would comfortably beat anyone in a duel in the Grove. So if anyone wants to 1v1 me at football, challenge accepted.
Okay. Right. Anyway, on to Arsenal chat. We've got about 10 minutes to go, so
Yeah,
I think we've got time to do these ones. So Jeff from Arsenal Glasgow, be interesting to see your views on January transfer window, and if you feel we should have any incomings or outgoings. Um,
outgoings, I think like the likes of Tierney potentially, players like that. I don't really think we need to really sell. I don't think we're in a position that we have to. Incomings, I would just like to see the transfer market in January is so volatile and prices are extortionate for players. I would like to see potentially one player come in to kind of help in midfield, but if we don't need it, then don't don't push the boat out and spend the money in January when you can do it at the end of the season. If Marino and Odegaard are back and everyone's fit, then I don't think we'll make any signings in January unless someone becomes available we've had our eye on and it's
yeah.
for a cutthroat price, like Trossard, for example, when we signed
Mhm.
him.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where. For me, it'd be a striker. If the deal was there, maybe we're getting not Goikarez, Sesko early or something like that before the end of it. I've got a sneaky suspicion even though he didn't come to us this year, we might have done a deal to say, okay, we're first refusal at the end of this season. But yeah, I think it's an opportunist market as opposed to us needing anything. So yeah, I think very little is gonna change unless we really need to, need to do it due to injury or you know what, the opportunity. He's very opportunistic. Arteta and the do. So I think if something comes up and said, okay, Sesko's available now, may have to pay a premium. Do you want him? That could be the thing.
Okay. And then finally, kind of before we get to kind of quick fire stupid questions, Paul, Arsenal Glasgow says, do you think Arsenal have hit second gear at any point in this season? And that's a bugbear for me because I always say, Oh, what is first gear? What is second? How many gears are there? What car are we driving? What do you think? Have we? I think what he means is, have we really reached? And we touched on this, didn't we, at the start of the
Yeah,
episode?
I, I,
So, kind
yeah,
of.
yeah. I think we're in games. We're trying not to stretch ourselves too far. So you're right. It feels like we're playing in second gear, and then when we need to go through the gears, then we're doing that, like we did against Southampton, like we did against Leicester. So the great thing is that we can actually lift and drop as we need. Again, it's all about pacing. Can't go in sixth gear every game, all games. So I think in parts we've tried to play like Atalanta. We tried to just do the bare minimum to get out of there with a point, with a win if we could, and go home, forget about it, and move on. So yeah, I think partially been in second gear, but I think a lot of teams striving for the top do that because that's how they survive.
Yeah. Okay, quick fire, stupid questions, and no one stupider than Martin. I'm kidding, Martin Parish, a friend of the podcast, not an Arsenal fan. He supports Brentford. Is this a Brentford guy?
Man United. No,
Man, oh, maybe he is stupid. Does he live in London?
He lives that round the corner from me
Yeah,
in,
no
in
wonder.
in
Most of them,
Buckinghamshire.
most of them do,
Yeah,
don't they?
yeah. Yes, he's nowhere near Manchester, and he's from the West Country. So there you go.
So this is a question that's quite close to my heart, Tabs. Unfortunately, in my 30s, I've noticed a wee bit of grey in the beard. And his question is, does Arteta use just for men? And I wonder if is Martin, does he have greys? Is he?
No, he's a ginger.
Oh,
So
right, okay,
he's a sorry, strawberry blonde. Sorry, I need to be
okay,
politically
okay.
correct.
I don't know if Arteta does or not, but you know what? It's a like I say, it's a something close to. I've always considered potentially trying it, and it was actually Danny Kleiman, friend of mine, who one day laughed at me, saying, "Oh, look at the grey hairs in your beard." So there I was. I went to Asda, bought some just for men, put it on, left it on for longer than the 5 minutes that they advise. Next thing you know, my skin's all completely bleached, genuinely bleached black with this dye, and I was actually down in head office in London for work, and I had a meeting that morning, and I was scrubbing my face with anything and everything I could find. In fact, my cheeks were so sore and so red because I was trying to get rid of this dye. So I don't know why I told the whole world that on a podcast, but does Arteta use just for men? If you do, it's fine, Martin. It's fine.
You got to embrace the grey. Come on, it gives you the distinguished look.
No, but
Um,
mine are just like a few kind of like just
oh, okay, you haven't transitioned to that bit yet. I would say no because doesn't his hair is just painted black, so doesn't he just lift it off and put it down to one side like a Lego figure, and then he puts it back on in the morning? So I'm going to say no, he doesn't because his hair is just one big block of painted something or other wig,
okay.
and he's actually bald. There we go.
Danny asked quite a few questions. The first one was, "Is Kai Havertz better than Kai Rooney?" So Wayne Rooney's son. And I was like, obviously, Danny, yes. I'm not even going to ask you, Tabs. He obviously asked the Ben White, Ben Orange question. If he gets any more spray tan, will he have to change his name? Yes. We'll have to start calling him Benny Orange. Or what's, sorry, in Blanco is white, so it's Benny Orange, is what his name
Very naranja.
Benny Naranja.
Yeah.
And the other question he asked was, can Arsenal win the championship? Yes. Yeah. Hey, listen, Danny. Southampton can win the championship.
City will be winning the championship next season.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go. All right, this
I'm
was my
hoping by
friend.
championship he meant like the Premier League.
No, no, no. I think he meant the championship, as in the one below the Premier League. That's what I thought he meant because it's a
Well,
stupid question.
we'll
So
see.
there
And
we
then
go.
you can ask this one, Tabs.
Yeah. Well, okay. So if two players collide at 26 kilometers per hour, does that make a 52 kilometer per hour collision? Now he must be thinking that's a funny question, funny answer. So I asked ChatGPT because I had no idea. And I'm not going to read out the full response because it gave me too much. But in essence, if it's a head on collision, two players going at the same speed, so 26 kilometers an hour each, yes, Danny, it is a 52 kilometer per hour hit. So it's simple maths. Head on is the two speeds added together, that's the collision. However, if they're running in the same direction and going at the same speed and they bump into each other, then they cancel each other out. So that's 0 kilometers per hour. Yeah. And now if they're coming at an angle, ChatGPT didn't have an answer. It basically said, "Yeah, it's too hard to calculate. Give me some more details." So it involves vector addition based on the angle between their velocities.
Okay,
And there
that
we
was
go.
a very simple physics thing. Like when I read that, I was like, "Yeah, Danny, of course." Like when you collide head on with a car at 50 miles an hour and 50 miles an hour, the overall impact is that of a 100-mile-an-hour collision. So, a couple more questions to go. Jermaine, I don't know why this isn't the stupid one, but
Yeah, I
how do
forgot.
you think
Sorry,
the
Jermaine.
current rate of inflation impacts how Arsenal can manoeuvre in the transfer market? Jermaine, the reason why he asked that is because Danny, funnily enough, said, "What do you think of the current rate of inflation?" And I replied saying, "Arsenal questions only." So Jermaine just added Arsenal into it. So, Jermaine, listen, the current rate of inflation has no bearing on Arsenal's manoeuvrability in the transfer market. That's a huge word to say on a podcast. Manoeuvrability in the transfer market. So we've put it under the stupid question, but you're more than welcome to come on and argue your piece and explain exactly how
Yeah,
inflation will affect Edu and Richard Garlick in their decision making.
yeah,
And
no,
then
I
Cam,
agree.
you can have the last question from
Oh,
Normie.
I was hoping we wouldn't get to this. God, Normie, you've got your wish. So Normie, our favourite train driving Grover.
I thought you were going to say
Uh,
Groper for a second
Gro-
there.
Grover. Yeah, so Normie, our favourite train driving Grover. And I think you need to take your feet off the dashboard as well in future. Right, so you and a super intelligent snail both get 1 million. I don't know why we both get 1 million, but yeah. And you both become immortal. However, you die if the snail touches you. It always knows where you are and slowly crawls towards you. Remember, it's intelligent, so it can board planes, etc. It also can't be trapped. What's your plan? So basically, you get 1 million unless you get killed by this snail.
Yeah, so I've actually seen this before, and I did
Yeah.
some Chat GPTing on it a while back, and Chat GPT's answer was basically it worked out the distance it would take a snail to travel, like go on a boat or a plane or whatever from Australia to America, and it was like a year. So you could just go between Australia and America and Australia and America. I think the real question is I think you have like a year, then you get £1 million or 10 million
Okay.
or whatever it is. So I would just cycle between going from America to Australia every kind of 2 or 3 months just to make sure I never knew where the snail was. The only bad thing is if you're sleeping, you won't know where the snail is. So could be, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You could be curtains for Mos. I got a simple thing. I'll just get someone next to me to go and stamp on it.
I don't think you can do that though, Tabs.
That's not what the question says. It says, "What's your plan?" It says you can't trap it, but I'm going to just say,
Yeah, but
"Okay,
it's
well,
immortal.
I can't touch it." Doesn't say someone else can't touch it. So there you go. See you later, snail.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, or be really close. So how do you know how you kill slugs? It's salt. So you just pour salt over it. Salt
But
over it.
Tabs, they're immortal. The snail is immortal. That's what he said in the thing.
Is it? You no. Oh, you both come in. Oh, both. Oh, he's immortal. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I missed that important part. Oh, I cannot be bothered. Oh, there you go. I will. I will. I will. I will again. If we start in the same place, I will move as far away as possible and stay there and cycle between Australia. Cycle, and not literally cycle, but travel between the two, and that's that. So, but yeah, that's a ridiculous question, and I can't even bother to answer it properly. Sorry.
Yeah. That was episode 44 of the Grove podcast. I
Oh
promise you we'll start
dear.
talking about the games and whatnot again when the season starts back up after the international break. Don't forget, this time next week, we'll have Dave Seeger on talking about his book, his wonderful book that he's very, uh, we're very grateful that he sent us copies and I've started to read some of it. It's really, really good. So we will see you then. Tabs, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you to everyone who submitted a question. We got through them all. Everyone have a lovely weekend when it comes. And we will see you in the next one.
Ciao, ciao. Speak to you next week.